Why should someone vote for Trump? What is the real reason why?
Here's the real reason why. I think it is about reviving our national character, pride in who we are as a country, which is it's about reviving our self-confidence again. The reason I'm voting for Donald Trump is I think about who's going to make my son more proud to be an American, okay? Who's going to make my son actually grow up in a country greater than the one we knew?
All right, it's good stuff. Vivek Ramaswamy joins us now, businessman, author of Truths. Vivek, as always, welcome to the program. You know, I love this. Reviving national self-confidence. It is to some, I agree. You know what? It is about national character. Isn't national confidence related to national character? We have to think we're on the right track, and we haven't thought that in quite a few years.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, the simple version of this election is it's about the economy, it's about the border, it's about our national security, and staying out of World War III. And all of those things are true, Larry. But when I got that question, as I've traveled college campuses, especially in Pennsylvania, and then I went back to Pennsylvania for the Ohio State-Penn State game, spent a lot of time on the ground with young people in Pennsylvania, I felt like I owed them a deeper answer. And I think the deeper answer is it is about reviving confidence in America, confidence in ourselves. And once we get that self-confidence back, that's actually a good input for our economy. It's what gives us the spine to enforce the rule of law and seal the border. So in that deeper sense, that's actually what this election is about. Who's going to restore our confidence as Americans? That's Donald Trump, hands down, and that's why I'm supporting him. And all of the other policies in some ways are downstream of that. And what I found, Larry, is that answer is actually bringing a lot more young people along. Gen Z is coming in our direction in droves, and I think a lot of that time in Pennsylvania is hopefully going to pay off tomorrow.
I think you need a positive message, Vivek. That's what you're saying also, part of this. And I think I think Mr. Trump is ending on a positive message. He's talking about a golden era or a golden age. I like that a lot. I think that gives some sense of hope. But once again, it's, you know, you got to feel good about casting that vote because you got to feel good about the country again. We're in the wrong direction. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know we're moving in the wrong direction. That's just common sense, and every poll says it. But the fact is, there has to be I go back to Reagan. When I was a child, I worked for Reagan. Reagan had a sense of being able to tell people optimism, okay, city on the hill, American greatness. We don't hear that from the opposition. We do hear it from you, bless your heart. And I think we're hearing it from Mr. Trump. Isn't that what he's saying on the stump?
I think he's saying it in a very authentic and honest way, because I don't think people want fake optimism, Larry. I mean, I don't think Ronald Reagan, if he were alive today, would say that it's morning in America right now, but it can be. And I think that's what we have to see as a movement. We're not just running from something. We are running back to something, back to our vision of what it means to be an American. What does it mean to be a citizen of this nation, the greatest nation known to the history of mankind? Are we perfect? No, we're not. We've never been perfect because we're comprised of human beings, after all, not God. But at the end of the day, we are still a nation, one nation under God, founded on the pursuit of a more perfect union. That, I think, is what you're hearing from Donald Trump, because he's very honest. He will say, correctly, that we are a nation in decline. But we don't have to stay that nation in decline. We still can be in our ascent. And I do think that's what Reagan would say if he were alive today. And I think that that's authentic optimism, not the fake version, not peddling fake optimism, but the real thing, understanding that our best days are still ahead of us. Yes, I think young people and all voters right now are hungry for that. And I think Donald Trump and the conservative movement is doing a far better job of delivering that than the other side.
Well, you know, a lot of people understand you have to work 2 jobs to get by. You know, you have to be able to work at running a garbage truck and then put extra salt on the fries in McDonald's. So Mr. Trump is setting the example. He's working 2 jobs. He's working as hard as he can. But in all seriousness, I don't hear the other side saying any such thing. I just hear them being very defensive about this story, as you describe it, and the issue of national self-confidence. It says that the opposition seems to be saying there's no problem, but it's broken. We know it's broken, Vivek, and it has to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed fast.
I agree. We're not working with a lot of time here. The other side's vision is all about victimhood, Larry. The fact that you can't get ahead economically is because of your race or your gender or your sexuality or oppression. I think our side is not about victimhood. We're about victory. The belief that with your own hard work and dedication, you can achieve the maximum of your God-given potential. And not everybody has the same gifts, right? We're realists about this. It's not like you or I, every person watching this program has the same gifts as each other. But each of us has our own unique God-given gifts. And the beauty of this country, America, as a meritocracy, is that we're the country that allows you to achieve the maximum of your unique gifts without anybody standing in your way. That's what I mean when I'm talking about regaining our national self-confidence. It's about confidence in America, but confidence in ourselves. And that's how we generate the type of risk-taking, ambition, and confidence that grows our economy and pushes America to the frontier that we've always been. And I think we're about 24 hours from delivering that. If Donald Trump and we send him back to the White House, I do think that we're going to see a revival of that risk-taking, ambitious, pioneer attitude that characterized our country from our founding. It's a 1776 kind of moment, and I mean that in a really positive way, Larry. That's what I see right now, and I hope we're going to see that on the other side of tomorrow.
Yeah, somebody told me today we're coming up to the 250th anniversary of the country. So when you say it's a 1776 kind of idea, you're exactly right. That's actually a very important point. And I think really most Americans, all stripes and colors and income, they want patriotism. They are patriots. Yeah. They want 1776. You just need somebody to lead them. Anyway, Vivek Ramaswamy, you're terrific. We thank you for your wisdom. Good luck. Good luck.